A big hello to the entire adventure community and outdoor enthusiast, and to anyone who loves the mountains. My name is Kirti Chavan, and I work with the Snow Leopard Conservancy India Trust in Ladakh. My work involves mitigating human brown bear conflict in Zanskar, and today I will talk about some safety tips for trekkers trekking in brown bear habitat. But before I do that, a big thank you to IMF for hosting this fantastic webinar series. I think it's a great idea. I'm glad to be part of it. We know Ladakh hosts many unique animals that are adapted to the high mountain life. One of them is the iconic snow leopard. Apart from the snow leopard, the biggest land predator in the region is the Himalayan brown bear. Unlike the snow leopard, the Himalayan brown bear is only found in the Kargil and the Zanskar district, not so much in Leh district. It's found elsewhere in the country as well, but in this presentation, I will just talk about Ladakh. The Himalayan brown bears are uniquely adapted animals. They can live in gentle slopes of high altitude alpine meadows to harsh, steep, rugged terrain of Trans Himalayas such as Zanskar. If you look at the Zanskar map, the entire region has lots of popular treks that cut across the region. And there are many trails which are not popular. And there's a growing trend of solo alpine style trekking enthusiasts who have started exploring the region. I had an opportunity to talk to people last year, and many of them did not know that they were trekking in a brown bear habitat. In fact, some of them didn't even know there were brown bears in the country. If you look at the map here, the northwest region is a prime bear habitat, and most of the trekking trails that cut through that could lead you to a brown bear encounter. This could be dangerous if we are not mindful and aware of where we are and what we're doing. The brown bears are not just limited to this region, they can be found up ahead in Suru Valley and Kargil, so on and so forth. A few years back, I was in Suru Valley, part of an expedition climbing Mount Nun. And at the base camp one night, there was a commotion, and all the porters and guides were panicking because a brown bear had entered the campsite. So, yes, trekkers and mountaineers, we need to be mindful, respectful of the wilderness and what's out there. We have to educate ourselves to keep ourselves safe as well as the animals as well. The work that I carry out in Zanskar tells me that there's a rising trend in incidences of brown bear coming into the village in search of food. These photographs show what happens when the brown bear enters the village. We know they're attacking the livestock and granaries in search of food. A brown bear is a big animal, and a male bear could stand up to 5.5, 6 feet tall, and could weigh anywhere around 200 to 250 kilos. It's also a Schedule 1 protected species by Indian Wildlife Protection Act. Like I said, there's a growing trend of solo and alpine style trekking in Zanskar, and it's very important for all the trekkers to know what's out there and what to expect. I know of one incident that happened last year in Dras region where there were some trekkers who saw a mother bear with cub, and they tried to approach the bear in hope to get better photographs. And as it would, the bear started charging and chasing the trekkers. Fortunately, there was no incident, and both the bears and trekkers were safe. But we know of another very, very old incident where a woman was mauled to death by a bear because she approached the bear and she went too close trying to get a better picture. So something like this could be easily avoided if we are more mindful and respectful of the animals. We know the bears have an aesthetic value, but apart from the aesthetic value, they play an important role in maintaining the integrity of region, the ecological integrity of the region. For example, bears make sure their population of marmots and other insects are kept in control while by feeding on them. If you take away the brown bear from the region, the marmot population could grow out of proportion. The insects could go out of proportion, which could lead to another catastrophe, something very close to a pandemic of sorts. So they are very important to the region. And when we go out there, as part of our expedition planning, the way we chalk out our objective dangers and plan how to tackle them, maybe a river crossing crevice or a ice wall, Understanding wildlife should also be a part of expedition planning, and to how do you keep yourself and the animals safe should be the important point of the planning. uh, our adventure activity takes us to the wilderness, and without us knowing, could cause a lot of damage to the wildlife. For example, this motorsport event that was supposed to happen last year, which was going to pass through a prime bear habitat in the season where the brown bears start selecting den before hibernation. Now, brown bears are very sensitive to human disturbance, and they're known to abandon their den sites, which then probably delays their hibernation. We have to avoid that. Thankfully, a lot of conservation organizations came together and voiced their concern, and the motor rally sports did not go to the prime bear habitat. So, like I said, it's important to respect the animals and to avoid possible interaction. But when you are entering a wilderness, it's also important for you to learn to identify the presence of the animal. How do you know if this the area where you are going to probably set up a camp, is it frequented by bears or not? So best way to do that is learn some um, skills of identifying track signs. For example, it's probably easy to identify a big cat track sign. A pug mark is easy to find, but for a bear, it could get a little confusing. If you see, look at the picture, the front leg and the hind leg of the bears are a little different. The front leg would look like a half palm of a human hand, and the hind leg looks like a human feet. And the series of those track signs, you know that's a bear. The other thing to look out for is the bear scat, bear poop. If you're in that region from say spring to summer, the bear's been feeding on a lot of vegetation and probably dead carcasses. You will see a bear scat, which looks like this dark brown or black in color, and it is very fibrous and tubular in form. It's a big pile of dung, and you will instantly know that's a bear scat. Um, if you're out there in say late autumn towards winters, you will probably start finding scats of this color. That's the time when bears start feeding on the wild rose bud, which leaves this pigmentation in their scat. And when you look at it, you just know that's a bear scat, and a huge pile of colored dung sprinkled with a lot of seeds. You will know it's a fresh scat, fresh poop because of the moisture content and if it's holding it together. If you see a scat like this, which is scattered, powdery, dusty all around, it's probably an old scat. But that does not mean it's safe to camp here. It just means that yes, the bears do frequent this area, and maybe you should select a camping site which is a little further away from here. Bear den site are not easy to come by, but yeah, because you are adventurous, trekkers, mountaineers, you do tend to go off the trail. And if you do find a bear den site, it's best not to approach it. One, depending on the season that you have found the den, is if the bear's in there, it probably would attack you, or if the bear has noticed you being around the den, it will completely abandon the den site. So in both cases, it's not a good idea to approach the den site. Camping close to the river. If you are trekking in the Bear region, and you would most likely want to camp close to the water body, you it's a good idea to keep some distance and do all your jobs, all your chores during the daylight. Do not try to venture out of your tent at night, especially close to the water body. One of the study carried out in Kupti National Park, Himachal Pradesh, 59% of the time the bears were seen 0 to 500 meters from water sources. So that tells you a lot. Another thing, you have to be vigilant all the time. What we do when we go out in the valleys to look for bear signs for our survey, we carry binoculars, and before entering a gorge or a valley, we scour the landscape to see if there's bear. If there's a bear, probably the bear will see you and then it will go away, or you make your presence felt. Um, when you're walking on trails, especially when there are sharp bends and there is a blind spot due to a boulder or something, make sure you make your presence felt. You talk to your partners, you sing, you clap, you whistle, make some sounds. The most dangerous bear is a bear that has been surprised. If the bear hears you and sees you, it's most definitely going to leave that place, and both of you are going to be safe. So that's one of the tips for walking on the trails. Leave nothing behind. Leftover food, packaged food, these things attract the bears and could lead, they have a risk of food conditioning the bears, which means the bears get a taste of human food and they rely more and more on these sources than the natural food. So leave nothing behind. When you are camping, preferably have your cooking spot really far away from the tent and washing spot really far away from the tent. So even at night, when the bear decides to investigate the smell, it's still far away. And if you've heard the bear inside the tent, you can probably do the same thing. You can start making noises, clap, sound, sing, entertain yourself. The bear knows you're there. It's most likely going to leave you alone. Again, empty food cans and Tetra packs, even if there's no food in there, still retains a lot of odor, which can be an attractant to the bear. And women, if they are menstruating, do not leave your used sanitary pads out in the open. Definitely do not approach the bears, even if it's a cub. Yes, bears look cute, adorable. You might want a photo, but they're very dangerous animals, especially abandoned. Cubs that look abandoned are never abandoned. There's definitely going to be mother somewhere around, and she's going to see you as a threat to her cub. And in that case, they will do what naturally occurs to them, which is attack you. If you're on a homestay in a village scenario where the bears have entered and people gather around it, make sure you are not cornering the animal. A cornered animal is the most dangerous animal, be it whatever kind. So do not try to approach the animal and make sure there is a lot of room for the animal to escape. Do not feed the bears. That's even if they look adorable, which they do most of the times. Try avoiding getting close to the animal or feeding them. If there's an unfortunate encounter and the bear has caught up to you, what would you do? You probably start running. Bears are really fast and they'll catch up with you in no time, unless you're running downhill, which will slow the bear down tremendously. Even better if you can run downhill in zigzag manner. That's definitely going to slow the bear down, and you could sort of gain on the distance. Like I said, the animals, these are the animals which are top of the food chain are the ones who actually maintain the ecological integrity of the region. These mountains are there because of these creatures, and then we need to be respectful. We need to be mindful of their presence and keep ourselves safe and the animals safe. I would like to thank IMF for letting me host this talk. If you have any questions, please write to me on the emails given below. Thank you.